Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us today. My name is Carmen Mateos. So today, along with the team of Elmo, Kirin, and Cristina, we will do workshop 3. So before we start into the workshop, I would love to welcome everyone who is new on the competition. So the new participant who joined us today as the first time. So welcome everyone. And I would love to walk you a little bit through the competition to give you a common understanding. So next, Cristina, please. So the Create App Championship is an initiative from the Create Apps, the Dubai Chamber of Digital Economy. This is the 3rd edition of the Create Apps Championship. It's a global competition under the Create Apps in Dubai initiative, launched by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The program is designed to advance digital innovation and position Dubai as a hub for mobile app development. Next, Cristina. Thank you. So over the last 2 editions, we received more than 5,800 applications from 132 countries. So what I mean with this is not a local competition. Anyone around the world who has an interest in Dubai can apply. So last previous editions, we helped develop over 340 prototypes last year. So next. So if you are looking to set up a business in Dubai, or you already have a company, or you are looking into digitalizing further, you can apply. So anyone that have a cool idea for mobile app application that you think that will work well in the city of Dubai, you can submit your application. And if you are chosen one of the 4 winners, you will receive an investment of $150,000. So there are 4 categories. We will not go into too much detail. We will be sharing the link to the website for those who didn't visit the website yet, but because everything is mentioned there. So just I give you a little bit. On the 4 categories, we have the youth category, the most innovative app, impactful, and industry of the year. This year is longevity. So the registration was open on the 13th of October. So you have until the 10th of December to enroll as a participant. The submission phase, now everybody has to enroll as a participant. And once that you enroll as a participant, in 24 hours, we will give you access to the portal. On the portal, you will have access to workshops, you will have access to video tutorials, a toolkit, resources, guide, and everything that you need to prepare for your submission. But still, the submission is not open yet. So now is the time to enroll. And later, we will open the submission phase. The submission phase will be open from November, end of November to 15th of December. So every week we will be running different workshops and you will have access to different models that will help you to upskill and prepare the submission. So for this week, we have news. You can go ahead, Cristina, with the next slide. So we have created a WhatsApp channel. You will keep being informed via the forum that we have on the portal. We send newsletters every week, and any major update, we will be informing you. But if you want to be updated via WhatsApp, please scan your QR code and you will be part of the WhatsApp channel of the Create App Championship. As it's a channel, your mobile phone will not be shared with anyone. Anyone can see your mobile phone, and you also is restricted the message. So only us at the Create App Championship team will have the permission to post and update you. So I encourage everyone to scan the QR codes and be part of the channel to be completely updated. So today we will go into the workshop 3, and this Shape Your Idea, AI enhanced conceptualization and planning. So just for you to know, is the moment to ask questions about the workshop. Tomorrow we will have the Q&A, and I will remind you all at the end of this session is the moment to ask the questions about the competition. In tomorrow Q&A weekly sessions with participants. So please, if you have questions regarding the competition, leave it for tomorrow, the Q&A, and take advantage of today that we have Cristina, Kirin, and Elmo here to ask the questions regarding the workshop. So without further delay, please, Cristina, the floor is yours. I give you. Thank you very much, all.
Thank you so much, Carmen. Again, welcome everyone to this week's workshop. We're super excited to have you all here. So today it's all about shaping your idea. I think in the first two webinars, we've really talked about value proposition, understanding, who is your target audience, who's the persona, doing research. And I guess everyone's a bit giddy to actually start developing, actually going into the actual development process of, actually creating an app. So that's what we're really going to do today. So we have myself here today, as well as Elmo, and really excited to have our dear colleague Kirin also there, who's our UX and UI design expert. So she will really take the floor and give you really an in-depth, crash course, so to say, on UX and service blueprinting. And she'll also be here next week, really focusing on then also good UI design. So don't worry, it's first about understanding the structure of your app. What is, how do you want to, get your target users into it and through it. And then next week, we'll talk about making it really, pretty, so to say, in short. For this week's, same rules apply as always. So please make sure that your microphone is on mute. It'll be interactive. We'll ask you questions to answer in the chat. We'll give someone the floor in the second to present their pitch. We'll keep you busy with Mentimeters. You know the drill. We will be using with AI. So indeed have ChatGPT ready as well as Lovable. So we will be working in there as well, doing some prompting again today. And I think Carmen explained this today. We're on focusing bring your idea to life. We have a few more sessions to go. We're at the halfway point now. And there will be, of course, also expert coaching. So if you want to, have more in-depth knowledge about developing an app, you can, or AI, you can contact Elmo, Andrea, Kirin, and also some other really great facilitators and guides who will also, be present later along as we go. So without further ado, what is it that you guys are working towards? Carmen mentioned already, the submission that will be open soon. So this is what we want you guys to submit at the end, right? So we have the app business canvas that you guys really need to fill out. And there, that's what we touched upon in the first two webinars, really creating that differentiated and very focused value proposition. And of course, to do that, you need to have an MVP with an underlying business model and a go-to-market strategy. Beyond that, we need a service blueprint. So an actual, fundamental clickable prototype that people can actually try out and test. And last but not least, a really interactive, compelling, great 5-minute video pitch, including a 2-minute demo of your app, and ideally a presentation also behind you. So this is the app business canvas. I hope this is meanwhile all familiar to everyone. So indeed, in the submission form, you'll be asked to fill out, this canvas. So you need to have an answer more or less for every question, or you do need to have an answer for every question here. And as you know, we'll go through this entire business canvas throughout these 6 sessions. This canvas also translate to the pitch canvas. So you see how the colors kind of match, except for the introduction, the ask, the promise, and the summary. So that's sort of say your skeletal framework and the nice beginning and the round end of how you want to present your pitch. Of course, we have already touched upon this as well a few times. So what makes a good pitch, right? Again, here, feel free also to post in the chat if you have any additional remarks or anything that could be of value here for other people to know what actually makes a really good and enticing pitch, right? So you need some kind of personal story. the founder story, it has to be very clear. You only have 5 minutes, right? So it has to be very to the point. It needs a good flow. You need to keep focus. You need to keep the judges engaged and excited about the idea. And of course, your app, it needs to be believable, convincing. You know, we have that idea that it has to be feasible and viable and has to have a positive impact. And yeah, in the end, you need to have a very concrete ask, right? So you need to have a very specific request to make to the judges in order to, yeah, give you the funding, so to say, to continue developing your app. Indeed, like this is another way to perceive it, right? So you need to hook your audience, your judges, you need to engage them, make them feel and understand. You need them to critically think and evaluate and actually to do, so to commit and to invest. So indeed, I would say let's give it a try again. Yeah, take 5 minutes to write down your pitch in 10 sentences. So I'll start the timer now. And if people are done early, let us know in the chat. And if someone wants to present their pitch and read these 10 sentences, we'll do that afterwards. But I would say we'll give you guys about a 2-minute time limit to do that. So starting the timer. So yeah, and of course, we've done this now already 2 times with other within the previous webinars. So if you still have your pitch canvas there, think about how you would want to, you know, iterate and approve it based on the work that you've done the previous weeks. Okay, we've hit around the halfway point. Again, if anyone would be interested in sharing their pitch in a second, please also let us know in the chat so that we can pick you. Okay, then I guess the pitch then goes to Yusuf. So once the time is up, the floor will be yours. Fortunately, we can only do one person per session. But indeed, also, if you guys want to, like, please practice also on your own time, right? So have, you know, gather your friends or, you know, business partners and just practice pitching or filming yourself and then viewing it yourself, is always a really good technique. And of course, you know, you have these 5 minutes in the end for this video, so make the most of it. Okay, last 20 seconds. I'll already move on to the next slide here. Oops. Beautiful. Okay. Yusuf, I would say, yeah, show yourself on camera, unmute yourself. I'll give you 2 minutes now to pitch your idea. Need
Can I
best to
start
stand.
now?
Exactly. Stand up and show your
All
camera,
right.
show yourself on the camera, present your idea.
Okay. Sorry, the background is poor. I introduce our platform, Profit Spoda, a revolutionary solution designed to capture the trillions of dollars currently trapped in zero-yield liquid capital growth globally. Today's user must choose between two unsatisfactory extremes: save in back deposit, which is 0% APY, or volatile growth from risky investment apps. Our system eliminates this compromise by offering a zero loss shield on principal, backed by audited institutional reserves, not government insurance. Users access a superior, predictable yield through our proprietary net interest margin arbitrage model, ensuring profitability is guaranteed. Crucially, our tapered proportional weighting, which we refer to as TPW, incentivizes loyalty and utility, rewarding rewards for being sticky and profitable. The structural separation of fund co and opco, which is legally isolates client capital from all operational liabilities, making the model bulletproof. We are a high volume, low risk financial machine built to monetize trust and scale immediately. The financial model is fully audited. The launch control room is ready, and we activate our strategic payroll partner integration once we are funded. We require final growth capital to accelerate the digital acquisition campaigns and achieve our target of 500 million AED within 6 months.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Invest in our profits today, and we promise to deliver.
Making your final remarks. Thank you so much for sharing. I think for next time, I also just read in the chat that, yeah, I didn't understand anything from the pitch. So indeed, for the people also sharing the next time, like, please make sure that, you know, we can see you guys on camera. We want to see you guys present actually, you know, really mimic the 5-minute video presentation, and also make sure that, you know, you have a good access to mic. But maybe Yusuf, maybe you can post again in the sentence, like, what is your idea in one sentence? I understood that it's about, you know, insurance and that has to be transparent. just from hearing your tone of voice, it sounds like you're really engaged, and I would encourage you to keep that enthusiasm further going along, yeah, as you further out your pitch. Now, that being said, I think it is time to let Kirin get on the floor and actually go into bringing your idea to life. So without further ado, I'll move to the side.
Thank you, and thank you so much for introducing me. My name is Quirin, and I'm a UX and UI designer with over 7 years of experience with a very range of different companies, different projects from corporate to startup. And I'm very excited to, help you understand a little bit better about how to bring your idea to life. Is this something that you wanted to talk about still?
Oh, yeah, let me just quickly jump in here. So exactly, so this week's focus, Bring Your Idea to Life, is really what we're looking at the business model canvas is, really fully developing out your solution, creating that clickable prototype and the service blueprint. So we're really, today is full solution focus, keeping in mind though, also again, who it is you're developing this idea for, what are the current solutions, and also, what are the key differentiators of your app? And it's about translating that idea into an actual clickable prototype, right? Again, what we're really looking here is indeed your solution, your app idea in one sentence, the reasons to believe, but also here's something great, but important also to think about that 2-minute demo slowly of like, how are you going to demo your idea in the pitch? Exactly. End of the session, you'll understand, the essentials of good UX design. We'll show you the service blueprint canvas, encouraging you to then take that home and filling that out yourself. But also, how to use AI, and we'll use Lovable for that to generate a first UX design, and understanding what is important and why do we create actually a lo-fi prototype first, and why do we test and validate that before really going into creating the full, beautiful, UI-driven app. So before we start, I think now we slowly transition, but we want to hear from you guys in the chat again. Maybe just share, what your differentiating promise is. So, what is the value proposition that you have now created? And just in one sentence, want to say that, your app is, or my app is the only app that, does X, Y, and Z, or it's, the easiest way to get this done. So just in one sentence, post what is the value proposition of your app, so we can get an overview of also of what we're working with today and what you guys are working on. Let's see. There you go. Our app promises to deliver financial peace of mind by converting decision typically associated with high anxiety, where to put savings into simple, reliable choice. Thank you, Yusuf. The lectures will be in English. So everyone just simply follow Yusuf's example. That's a really great, one sentence value proposition. Very concrete. I think it targets, a problem of real users' anxiety about financial decision making. Exactly. And we would just want it on one sentence. So indeed, if you have multiple bullet points, see if you can really, distill it. So imagine really like the 30-second elevator pitch. You're in an elevator with an important investor. You only have 3 floors to pitch your idea. How are you going to do that? Enables enterprises to turn their existing API services and data into AI-ready infrastructure in minutes, not months. That's really nice. Also making it very concrete with timing, enterprise-grade observability, security, and scalability built in. Apply to jobs, just sharing their LinkedIn profile. Ooh, The only productivity app that truly understands colloquial Arabic and also English to automatically organize your life. I really like that. That's a really concrete problem that you're addressing probably for a large group of users. My app is to create conceptual understand complex mathematical concepts. Yeah, for the differentiating part of my app is to create a conceptual understanding complex mathematical concepts. Can you be a bit more concrete in that? Like, what is the exact user need and how are you going to step into that? Exactly. Fieldman, I think you pitched last time. That sounds very familiar. The only AI self-development coaching app covering mentality, spirituality, and health and wealth using narrative characters as guide. Okay, lovely. Then I think now I will. Exactly. So what we will really focus on today is really mapping out user interaction and flow using Service Blueprint Canvas, creating the first UX prototype of your app using AI. And if time permits, let's see how far we get, prepare for validation and testing. So now we go. Now I get to let Karine actually hop on the floor. There we go. So,
Well, thank you once again. Let me adjust a little bit this logic amp since I'm a small bit taller than Christina is. Well, welcome. Today we're going to talk about designing the user flow through UX. And what is UX design actually? I know that some of you might have already have a bit of experience. Some of you might not have heard the term at all. Just kidding. I hope that you already did a little bit since joining the webinars. But let's break it down a little bit. So the user experience, that is the experience a person has when interacting with an object, a service, a digital interface that is shaped by how it works, feels, and fits into their needs and context. So we also encounter this in everyday life. Everything we touch, we can have a sort of like user experience with it. And we as UX designers, we are shaping those interactions to make them feel intuitive, effective, and meaningful across every touch point. And looking at the three lenses of UX, so the desirability, what does it address, the feasibility, how well can it solve the problem, and viability, does it generate sufficient value? We want to operate on the intersect of it. So this sweet spot is actually where we as UX designers aim to design product or services. Let's see, we are going to do a Menti. Yeah, sure, in your screen of no, yeah. Oh. So now think about an app that you use daily. What is one thing that frustrates you? Delay. Ads. People. Unstructured flow, I see here, paywalls, education. Education values and ethics, WhatsApp, the red circle and red messages, translate, more ads, complexity, LinkedIn. Oh, yeah. So basically what a lot of things that I see here is that things that frustrate you is when certain flows are not clear. You don't, as a user, don't know really what to do, but also it's distracting you from your goal. So something that came on along is, for example, the ads, that while you are in the specific user flow, you get distracted by the goal you actually want to achieve. And we have a new one. So can you please think about an app you use daily and what is one thing that feels effortless? Let me see, what do we have it here? None so far. Well. I see here some of the transitions, fun to use and fast, not early searching. So basically what you mean by that is that you want a searching engine that is very intuitive. Transitions feel effortless. Yeah, so basically what we see here is some of the key points is that you don't want to think. And when something feels effortless, it is basically where you can achieve your goal actually very quickly, instead of having to look everywhere or having to put a lot of effort into it. That makes it to feel like you have to work, and effortlessly you want to actually be guided step by step throughout the flow. Let me see, how can I do this? Yeah, I have here the screen that is. Oh yeah, but we are shared, I think.
Or you just go on your screen.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, great. Thank you. So let's look at some bad and good examples for the UX. And I always like to take this a little bit non-digital in an object that we hopefully use somewhat every day. So imagine you are going to shower. Look at the image here that is presented and think about interacting with the shower. Please think about what could wrong here, what might be difficult, and write your thoughts in the chat. And please try to also, if you have any thoughts that are specific, like what you think, what would use, you can be as specific as possible. All right, I got already some answers in, so let me see. I would protect the dog on the phone, getting the right temperature. First of all, you wouldn't know which one has hot or cold water, misplaced. I think that all these answers here are quite in line with the usability that we don't want to create. And to recap that, we can see here some of the points that users might encounter as friction. So basically, like one of you also said in here, like there is unclear what to do. The temperature and flow indicators are not guiding, so that creates uncertainty. It requires even though also a lot of try and error, because yeah, you have to reach the desired temperature. So like turning the knobs to the right or to the left, even that you don't know, you have to find that sweet spot for yourself where you are actually happy to start showering. This is like a very high effort and discomfort, which also can be very frustrating. But there's also an unexpected logic. So we have left should be like cold and right is hot. And because this one is switched up, it also breaks the user mental mode. And lastly, this is like disabling the user to have this sense of control. And it reduces trust and confidence. So the next time that they want to go shower, they might already feel it like, I don't want this and don't know what to do, which we don't want to convey. But let's look at a shower example that is actually doing the thing that we as UXers really want to, allow for users to have the experience. So we want to be clear. We want to have be separate functions in this sense. We have like one knob for on and off, and we have one knob for managing the temperature. And by labeling these knobs also with a small bit of text, very concise, but also with, for example, how to turn to get the desired result, it makes it very intuitive, but also predictable, because like controlling turning gradually attempts the temperature with no surprises, because you know that when you turn a knob to the top, you are going to like make the water more hot and get more hot water out of it. And by going down, you probably get like a lower temperature. So this also provides a sense of feedback that is predictable and understandable. And the user is in control and feels confident about that. So it matches expectations and it aligns with this mental model of how should a shower work in that sense. I see some interesting comment here where Aurélie, I hope that you pronounce your name correctly, looks more dangerous than the other one, Darth Father of shower feelings. It feels more complicated to me. And I'm actually quite curious of why you think so. Could you maybe elaborate very shortly on that? Because it is different than what we usually see. Okay, so that is maybe, I think, also good to take in consideration, and actually a good point. So thanks for highlighting that for me, is that understanding the user and what the background of their context is also very important. This example should just need to visualize a little bit more about how do we want to address it in terms of UX, but of course, if we take it to consideration that you always have a certain type of shower, this might really feel like, hey, this is a lot of information. So thank you. Let's move on. I want to address and highlight the 4 E's of UX design that we do. So we want to be effective, we want to be enjoyable, we want to be easy, and we want to be emotional. And with effective, we want to deliver what it promises, so users can achieve their goal. Enjoyable, the app should not induce unnecessary mental load and reward the user. Easy, it takes little effort to get set up and use the app. And also emotional, so the app addresses a long-term goal, dream, or fear. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on the specific E's by examples. So please read through this presentation in your own time to really dive also a little bit deeper on what bullets makes some, for example, effective or enjoyable. But in this sense, for effective, I have Google Maps, because it really allows the user to do where they come from, going from A to B. So every step of the way, like they can tap through every step of the way, and they neatly can get all the information that they need. So for example, it is search, it is review, it is start, and then you're gonna be guided walking through there. Also, this app is very effective because it diminishes all its distractions. There is like one purpose and one purpose only, and that is arriving on your destination. Something that Google Maps also does really well is providing, for example, real-time feedback. So it shows you actually what is the most fastest way to arrive at the destination. And if there's a faster one along the way, it would automatically suggest, hey, did you know that you could go also this route? So then you can arrive faster. Another one that is really working well in terms of easy is Spotify. So this app allows you to actually find, discover, and play music. And what really works well in terms of being easy in this example is that they have very clear navigation. So home, search, library, also in the create button is very clear. You also have what they do really well is, for example, also the more micro elements in terms of icons that they present really well. So AirPlay is shown here. This is very familiar, so it creates a sense of familiarity. Well, I think that you know which word I want to use. But also in terms of, you see in the bottom bar, the box, which automatically creates a sense of like, hey, I'm connecting to one of my speakers somewhere. If we look, for example, at enjoyable, the example that I took is Duolingo, because it allows you to learn a new language in a very enjoyable and fun, low threshold way. And what they do really well, for example, is how they keep users engaged with smaller and short focused journeys of focused flows where you can actually be interactive in how to learn a certain language. And what they also do really well is, for example, to present you with very clear feedback. So that is, in that sense, they have a progression bar. They show you when you've done great and how many points that you have received. And that also keeps you very motivated, which they do well. They also have, of course, streaks, and they celebrate whenever you have done something right. So it makes you feel like, yes, I really want to continue with this application. And the last one that I picked for emotional is, for example, Headspace. I believe this one also works really well in terms of creating an emotional, conveying that emotional bond with the users is where they using very striking to the user needs. The needs of the user in this sense really wants to be in a calm, trusting space. They probably come here because they need that inner peace for a moment, and through visuals, through tone, they are actually really connecting their application. What they also do really well is that they show your personal progress a lot. So they are also keeping track of that and making it really personal to feel like it is easy and personal style. Even let me see if I find some more, if there's still some questions. Going through the list. Oh, great. Yeah, perfect. Well, let's continue to the service blueprint. So basically what we have addressed now is a sort of like small overview of how we can create this really like striking user experience where we can focus on how to actually help users achieve their goal. And before we want to actually start designing this, we also want to understand a little bit better what is happening throughout the whole service. So a service blueprint is a tool to help visualize and design how a concept works end to end. So that is from the moment the user interacts with it to all the supporting processes behind the scene. So we're not just only designing for screens, but we are actually designing for a whole ecosystem that addresses the whole service. So that includes also the non-digital steps that shape the overall experience. We included a service blueprint canvas, so you can actually download this and get started by yourself. But also let's dive a little bit deeper into the structure of the service blueprint. So this is a very flat image of how we can elaborate a little bit on it. And what you see on top is the physical evidence alongside with the user actions. And you see already that those are here mapped out step by step. After that, we have like underneath that, we have the front stage and we have the backstage. And lastly, the supporting stage. But now you hear me talk a little bit like, hey, these are all the stages, and this is also what you see. But let's make it a little bit more tangible by pretend that we're going to make a service blueprint for going to the theater. So the physical evidence, that is actually the visible proof of the service and the product. So if we look at the first step, that could also be like the website that you visit to buy tickets. That is the theater building that you see, the stage and the props that you can find on stage, but also, for example, the printed tickets in the program. Then in the next line, we have the user actions. So these are the things that the user does during the experience. So if we look at the whole user flow, that would start by, for example, buying tickets online on this physical evidence, like the website that is presented in the first step. But you can also have like arriving at the theater where, for example, one of the employees is greeting you, and then you're going to watch the play. And while doing that, there are certain things that the user will see. So that is what the front stage is all about, is that not per se only like the physical evidence, such as what you can see, but also the interaction that you have with this experience. In this sense, that could be like actors that are acting the role, delivering the lines and emotions, but also actors that are, for example, like interacting with the audience. The stage props that you see, and the lights and the sounds that go, for example, on and off, just on the right timing. But what happens on the backstage when you are in the theater is that everything is, of course, how do you say that? That's triggered from one point. So everything in this sense that happens behind the curtains. So there are technicians that are managing the lights and the sounds. We have the stagehands that are moving the prop, and there's also probably a stage manager that is moving around and coordinating certain cues. That is something, of course, that the user in this sense doesn't see while looking at the play. But this is very important because in order to have everything moving around accordingly and to ensure that the experience is as best as possible, we need to have this backstage triggers that allows to provide this this experience seamlessly. And lastly, we have supporting actions. So people and systems that make sure the theater can operate. So without, for example, the IT maintaining a ticketing system, you as a user wouldn't even be able to buy tickets online through that website. But also, how do you get in touch with, for example, this play that you found online? That's probably because there's a marketing promoting the play or an ad which you all very liked to click on. And even further behind the scenes, we also, for example, have finance handling the payments and budgets. Now let's go back to like the first example that I gave of how roughly how a service blueprint could look like. And let's also make it now a little bit more tangible in terms of digital interactions with a mobile app. In this sense, I'm gonna use the ClassPass app, and we're gonna look at it at the service blueprint based on as a user, I want to book a class. So what you see on this physical evidence is basically within all the steps also what you see. This is very concise, and this just should consist of like what like one-on-one a user sees. And if we, for example, look at the first physical evidence, which is the home screen, the user action here would probably be, okay, I'm going to search for a class. While the user is going to action this on the front stage, which is on the home screen, you probably see a search bar, you see a location or activity, you will get dynamic results while you are typing it in. And while the user is doing that, on the backstage, the system needs to queries like QuestPass database, because all the data that is located on the homepage is need to come somewhere from. Does need to come somewhere from, yeah. And behind that, we have the supporting actions. So these are partner integrations. Think about like your favorite studio that also needs to be linked to the ClassPass app. But the live schedules and the class data also has to be retrieved, and that is not only coming from the backstage, but that is also coming from, of course, from all the specific studios, because they actually have to provide ClassPass with this data. Well, if we go a little bit further quickly through all the other steps, now you might come on a result page. There you're gonna browse and review. You might gonna filter. You're gonna click on a detail page, and then eventually you have booked your class, and you got this confirmation via email, but also via the app. But what is also very important in this journey to highlight is that the user also goes to the studio front desk. This is like the non-physical part of it, where the experience does not have stopped just because you just clicked away your mobile app, the ClassPass app, and you're heading on your in Amsterdam bike towards your class. Doesn't mean that actually getting at the studio and checking in is also part of the whole experience that belongs to ClassPass. So the user action here is that it arrives at the studio and it checks in. On the front stage, the employee might greet you, but also checks you in because they have their own partner system that is linked to ClassPass. So the employee does that, and then looking at the backstage, the studio verifies the booking. And what the supporting action is behind that is that the studio, for example, has a studio attendance tracking system where they see which, let's say students for now, sports students did or did not join the specific class that they were just registered for. So, but why is this important? Why would you even build a service blueprint? And I think that it's very important to understand the full service context. You really want to understand which steps the users have to take, which touch point they're going to address, but also like the processes that are happening behind it before you start designing. And understanding also gives you a sense of clarity where, for example, constraints are still missing and dependencies are still discussable. And you actually want to have this as early as possible. So mapping all these user actions and processes shows you which data, which tools, which departments are involved, and what is technically and operational possible. Because what if you have this great idea and you are so hyped and you're already standing in your elevator pitch, you have it ready and you're standing in the elevator and this investor is so enthusiastic about your idea, but then you really have to show, and you get this investment, then you really have to start creating it. And while you're creating it, you suddenly see, hey, I actually never thought about all these integrations that I needed. And I didn't know that my idea was actually so complicated that with even the investment, I cannot even make it happen. So to validate your concept holistically, use the blueprint to test the service logic of your concept. So you already have one step ahead of only having this beautiful idea, but that you already understand every step, what is needed to make your idea happen. And to also say, like, sometimes it is okay if you don't have every step fully cleared out. I mean, best of if it does, but for example, in my own experience, when I'm working with certain projects or companies, sometimes it is for me not already feasible to understand what is technically not possible. But that allows me to go to, for example, developers and say, hey, I want to convey this. This is my missing piece. Can you help me understand? So it also works really well in terms of getting the right information and having a visible representation of it to get this conversation started. So let's give it a try at Menti. Yep. Okay, so the user books a flight on the airline website. Which lane is this? Please choose between user action, front stage, backstage, reporting action, and physical evidence. Yes, okay, great. We have, oh, are we still, how many?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good. Well, this looks very promising because you all got it right. It is indeed the user actions. So let's go to the next one. The system sends booking details to the airline's internal reservation database. Which lane is this? All right, we got nearly all good. Although we kind of understand why, of course, the person says maybe supporting action. It is indeed a backstage action because it really needs to retrieve information that is based in the app and not yet like connected to all the others. So the customer service receives an e-ticket. The customer receives an e-ticket via email with the flight details. Which lane is this? Now we wait a small bit. Oh yeah, physical evidence. When what really happens here is that the physical evidence here is an e-ticket. So that is where it represents really like the physical, I cannot say it any different.
Tangible.
The tangible indeed, physical tangible
Support.
yeah. The airline database connects a third-party payment gateway to verify and complete the transaction. Which lane is this? All right. In this sense, it is indeed the supporting actions because the app, in this sense, is needing this third-party data to ensure that they can fully provide the experience. So that means, for example, that if you have booking.com, let's say it like that, and we have an airline, is that they need from this specific airline, they need the information in order to ensure that the right details are heading the way of the user. So that is what we mean by supporting actions. And then the website shows a booking confirmed screen after the payment. Which lane is this? Okay, nice. Yes, this indeed is the front stage. And where this difference from physical evidence is that the booking confirmed is a specific feedback that the user got actually through an action that they did. So the physical evidence that they would be seeing here is indeed, for example, the e-ticket, but it could also still be the website where they are still working on. Dus yes, this is a front end stage. Front stage, yeah, front end stage. All right. Well, some words about fidelity. Let me explain a little bit better what I mean with this. So design fidelity refers to how closely a screen design or prototype represents the final product in look, in content, in interactivity, in feedback. So basically, this is a measure of realism. How detail, accurate, or functional is a prototype actually? So we have like 3 different fidelities, but let's start with low fidelity in this sense. What we see here on the right is a home screen of ClassPass. In this sense, a booking system to get all these different classes and yeah, to manage all those. What you see here is that the visual detail is very rough. Like there are boxes, there's placeholder text, there is actually not a lot of visual preciseness. So the content realism is very low. You ideally also use not really a lot of data that is accurate to the current one, but you really want to get a sort of like idea of, okay, in general, how is it going to look like functionally? And the interactivity here is a static sequence or a clickable flow, depending on where you do it. But actually, if you really want to be wild for a time, you can also create, for example, a paper prototype where you have all these screens with paper, the wireframes drawn with paper, with pen on paper, where you go by users and say like, hey, what do you expect how this works? And the purpose is to explore conceptual ideas and structure. If we move one fidelity more to realism, we have here medium fidelity. And this is how, for example, ClassPass would look if you would add a little bit more detail to it. We are still reducing like the visual details a lot. So we're not using color. We're not really using border radius. We are using gray scale tones. And everything is very simple and sample content for the context. You can go a small bit more in detail to like say, hey, this call to action is book class, just to ensure that the user, for example, understands the high level concept, but you really want to keep it very functional still. The interactivity would be a simple clickable prototype, and you would have like a basic navigation and some basic feedback messages. And the purpose of medium fidelity is to validate conceptual ideas, structure, and hierarchies. And basically, where you want to operate in this stage is in between like medium and low fidelity. Then lastly, we have high fidelity. Here you actually see a screenshot of how ClassPass looks currently. And what you see here is that the visual detail is very high. So color-wise, everything is very polished within the UI. You have accurate imagery, typography, and branding all implemented in the product. Also, at this stage, you really want to have real data. You want to find final tone of voice. And also the text should match with what you want to tell the story here. And here the interactivity would be fully interactive, ideally with animations and transitions and structure logic. And the goal of the high fidelity is usability testing, in that sense that you really want to test if every action, every step is as much as possible reflecting the real product, so that you can also get results that real app users also would encounter. And on the other hand, you want to have this fidelity, the high fidelity, to hand over it to developers, because they also have to ensure that they can create and make realism out of this product. So let's do a quick validation. And let's share the observation in the chat. So on the right, again, you see the ClassPass screen. And I want you to notice, what do you see in terms of design? Don't overthink this, just do a quick look to it and say, like, what are you noticing? You see high fidelity, clean. Yeah, well, okay, but let's make this also a little bit more detailed. Like, okay, what is the first thing that you notice? If you look at this, let's do a 5-second test. What do you notice? Which elements? What's the green? I do not like the upgrade now to upsells in the screen. You see a gym. It's bold correctly. So I think that this indeed represents a very good overview of that, like what kind of question you are, but also what kind of supporting screen are you presenting to the user, is what kind of answer you're going to get. So basically, when I ask you with this screen, with this ClassPass screen, like what do you notice first, or what do you notice in terms of design? It is mostly about colors. It is mostly about text in combination with colors. It is about what you already don't like from a personal experience. And it is not from a place where you are still looking at the functional aspect of what the application actually does and wants you to help, to do actually. So what is very important in a stage, actually in like any stage when you are designing, is to choose the right fidelity, because the low fidelity keeps discussion on a conceptual level, while a high fidelity invites detailed feedback. So that is more about visual, screen layout, and usability. And actually, I had this also a lot of times that I was then working with a client and that I actually wanted to understand a little bit more about with the user, for example, like, hey, I want to understand if a specific flow or interaction is clear. But because we were using like the high fidelity screens and interactive flow, we got a lot of feedback that was, yeah, I don't like the rounded corners, or hey, I think that this is distracting. But that was not my question. So my question was in this sense, I need to understand how on a conceptual level a certain flow works. And that's why you want to keep it then maybe as low or mid as possible. Because it also saves a lot of time for you as a designer or creator, to move along. So you want to quickly understand if your goal is clear. Yeah, exactly. I think that this is clear. I think that we have a 5-minute break. Yeah. Timer, I am. Show timer. Great. Perfect. Just, yeah. Thank you, see you in a bit. So welcome back. Well, we had a 5-minute break. We are now moving on to AI to generate a UX flow. And for that, oh yeah, thank you. Let's dive a little bit more into like how can we creating a flow using AI. So you've been working throughout all the presentations on multiple input possibilities to provide the AI. So VPC, you have personas, maybe an overview of like must-have, nice-to-have, and not-to-haves. And this is a very relevant information to get started. So what you want to do is also start with setting a goal and define a user flow for yourself. So you're going to highlight, for example, I want to create an app, and the goal in this sense is that I want to test with this flow, so keep it low fidelity, for example. Then you're going to prompt the AI to create wireframes on a conceptual level, like indeed like low mid fidelity wireframes. And here you can be specific. Let's say that you want to have, let's say max 7 screens, but you still want to highlight a little bit like, hey, screen 1 is about a homepage. Screen 2 is about an overview page. Just to get started, just to get started a little bit. Also, if you would, for example, upload a service blueprint, that is also a very great way to use as a starting point to generate an UX flow. After that, you can say that you want to edit the hierarchy, you want maybe naming and navigation adjustments, but you in this stage, you still want to keep the focus on logic and not on visuals. And lastly, you can refine details. So you can add or refine basic labels, text. You can say that you want to have different buttons, text for clarity. Maybe you say that the navigation is on the top, the top of your screen when you want it. On the bottom of your screen, those are like very basic changes that you can still make. And then you're gonna link the screens to make it an interactive prototype. And from there you can stress test it, iterate, and then see how you want to move forward with it. Which AI tool should we use to input this info? Very good question. We're gonna look at an example. We're gonna live demo it in a small bit with Lovable, but there are actually many tools that you can use. I chose Lovable in this sense because they are great already at producing very detailed screens, and the structure on how they present it and work with it is very nice. But I have also friends that use Cursor, for example. You can use Figma Make. And I think it's also very fun to play around a little. So if you have a setup structure on how to create a user in how to use AI to create a UX flow, is to see, hey, what happens if I put it in AI tool A, and what happens when I use it in AI tool B. Just to get a hang a little bit of it, what works best for you. We created a clickable UX wireframe prototype prompt, which you can download. And this should get you started with defining all the steps, walking through all the steps, but also defining within your concept, like what do I want to address. So it's a very step-by-step PDF, which you can use. And I would definitely also recommend that. Yes, this is downloadable, definitely. You can download this. So let's do this together. Let's demo and create together this AI prototype. And for that, I'm gonna stop sharing. Wait, can you quickly look at me?
Very people enter the waiting room. That's not.
No, actually, okay.
So you can just.
All right, I'll share my other screen. 1 second. So what we're going to do, we are going to create a prototype using Lovable. I'm already going to actually hit send because it takes a small bit of time to create it. And then I'm going to walk you through all the prompts. So let's see what we have put in here. And for this application, I wanted to create an AI clickable prototype and to keep it a little bit in line with what we have been discussing. So it is a ClassPass-like app. And when I started to do this, I wanted to actually create a prompt that allows the AI tool to understand what I want to create this time. So let's create an AI flow represented as clickable wireframes for a digital product and based on the details provided below. I add some extra additional information. So in this sense, the wireframe should contain key steps of the flow below, but also from the initial interaction through core use cases, emphasizing on clarity, intuitive navigation, and alignment. Use best practices for usability and accessibility if any optional fields or documents are missing. But this is, of course, where you can step in. I currently don't have these documents with me, but you have been working on multiple documents throughout this course. So make use of this wisely, and you can also with Lovable upload those. What we also want to elaborate a little bit more is the purpose of the app. So the purpose of the app is to allow users to find and book a diverse range of sport classes throughout the city. It solves the problem of sport fanatics not to be bounded by one type of sport or sports studio, but to go to multiple and diverse sport classes. Next step, I really want to define the key steps of the flow. So design the key step of the user flow. The goal is to create a low fidelity screens that is focused on the functionality and not on the form. And here I've highlighted a few screens. So for example, I want to start with the homepage. So the purpose is that the entry points to have quick access to discovery and upcoming bookings. And content I want to see in here is, for example, a search bar. I want category chips. I want features classes. And you can actually add anything you want. Basically, wait 1 second. Wait. Basically, you want to, you can add anything you want, but you can also use AI to already like help you get going if you don't know what you want to include in this specific content. Now, we already have something created, so I'm gonna quickly show you a little bit further what I put in. This is a classic cover result page. I want a filter screen, I want a booking confirmation, and I want my bookings overview, all presented with some information. And then I already directly set prototype the flow connection. So link this screen into an interactive mobile prototype in Lovable following this flow. So the onboarding, home, explore, class detail, and booking confirmations. And what we get out of this is what we're now going to look at. So basically, I'm gonna move this, is what you see is that they called my app Sport Finder, where they already presented you with find your next workout. This is like the top bar. In that sense, we are now currently we are currently on the homepage. It shows me a search bar. They've created some categories. So strength, cardio, group, HIIT, some features classes. Okay, they say power yoga, boxing fundamentals. We have here 8 a.m., 6 a.m. So basically it's providing me a homepage exactly as I wanted. What I wanted to dive a little bit more into is this flow, and then we have some time also to readjust a little. So take a very close look on what we're looking at, because I'm very curious to your input of what you think that we should live adjust in a bit. So, for example, features class Power Yoga. This is where I have my class details. This would be a class image. It says Power Yoga, Zen Studio Intermediate, and it shows me below all the information that is needed for me to make a decision on it, where it says about this class. So it provides also a little bit of context. And here I have booked this class. What would happen if I would click on this? It shows already that my booking is confirmed and your spot has been reserved. So from here, it really listened to what I prompted into, okay, I want to have an overview. I want to have actions that redirect me to view my bookings. I want also a button to add to my calendar, for example, and it also presented here with return to home. But looking at all of this, maybe this is probably not yet to your liking, because now we have created something that is quite familiar, for example, but there are probably a lot of things that you want to adjust before you are satisfied with the result. So let's prompt the Lovable to make some adjustments. And I'm very curious if you have some input that we should live demo in here. So what if you look at this homepage, for example, and you think about the mobile app design, what would be missing for you? I don't see anything coming in. Well, I can already say something. Oh, location in the city. Well, great. So basically, I want to add on the homepage and location in the city. So adjust the homepage. The user needs to be able to adjust their location. Let's make it wild and say I want a preview on top where I can see the location, the city overview. If I click on this, I would if the user clicks on this, then it would be redirected to map view page. Let's see what happens. That's also fun about like demoing or like live AI prototyping your ID or your application. It is also a lot with a lot of trial and error. And it is very good, I believe, to start experimenting with different prompts, but also use different IDs that you want to explore a little bit more and just put it in there. Because the message here is that it probably needs, in general, a lot of adjustments to really match on how you intended it. And of course, like a prompt can be so good that it already understands what you want, but you will always encounter small obstacles where it should be adjusted a little bit by your input. So what we see here now on the right is that it shows indeed a city overview. On the top right, I can here say that I am in Amsterdam, for example. And when I would be clicking on this, I see here a map view placeholder with some of the highlighted studios that Amsterdam has. And then you can see here like, okay, nearby studios. So it actually did pretty well already, like what I wanted it to do, at least at this stage also. So we are still working with low to mid fidelity wireframes. So I can definitely say, for example, here with the nearby studios, hey, I want the spacing between the nearby studios to have more white space. But still, in this stage for your concept, I would suggest to stay a little bit more functional and not to go into the deep, nitty-gritty details. We should really convey the goal, the user goal, and we test it on functional level. Let me see if I see something in here as well. A good one will be connect with friends. Visuals could be used more, yeah, and still like what I was just addressing, I'd still think that at this stage on creating a first output of your ID, I would definitely stay with not much color at all. Maybe some small highlights, but I would say actually least color, only gray tones. If it's maybe we can do one more addition to it. And back of reviews, feedback. They can share. Okay, we can do those all. But what I also like saw in here is that on the Sport Finder app that Lovable created for me, is that it also doesn't have a basic navigation element that is used in mobile app design, for example. So if we look, for example, at these screens, how would I navigate, for example, for my account or to the messages? So I actually want to add, in this sense, a navigation bar. So I say throughout the UX flow, I want add a bottom navigation bar with home. This is the home page. I'm just going to keep it very concise for the sake of this live demo and time. But again, you can elaborate a lot on what you want home to consist of, what kind of icon, etc. We want classes, a sort of classes overview. This is then the entry point to have an overview of all classes in the upcoming 24 hours. I want to have, for example, in my account where, let's do one more in between. Upcoming classes would also be, I believe, a good tab to have in there so that you can quickly access which classes are currently booked. And you want the My Account tab where I can view all my details. Let's leave it at that and see where they come, what they come up with. And then I add from the tabs of the navigation should be clickable to the next page, to the designated pages. Well, let's see what they come up with. And let me quickly see what I missed in here. I see there's a few questions also regarding like which kind of AI tool to use. And I think that there is not really like one right or wrong answer. I think all of them might have good features. I believe there's also a personal preference. So like I said before, I would suggest that you just create a prompt and try it out on different AI tools and see what works best for you. it's still working. In the meantime, I can also say a little bit more like, and now what? Because we also, yeah, you want to do maybe you want to do something with this prototype, and you can actually, yeah, also share this link and this project, for example, with your user, so that you can actually test. Yeah, you can actually test and get some feedback on yeah, the first prototype that you created. I think, yeah, that we will dive deeper a little bit into that later on. Hey, what we see here is that they now have a bottom bar included. What you see also is that because of the behavior of mobile app is that this bottom bar is already sticky. And now I can navigate between home, classes, upcoming, and account. So when I click on classes, it actually shows me here the page of all classes in the next 24 hours. If I would want to, for example, iterate on this screen, I would prompt the AI to say, I want to have filters. So filter chips with a specific time, a specific studio, misschien maybe a specific sport, just so that the user can navigate a little bit more quickly and effective through actually finding the class that they desire. Here in upcoming, they showed me my bookings, so the upcoming bookings, but AI already prompted me or like created and generated and passed them. And from here, I can also navigate through the app via details and buttons. So what have we just been looking at? This is just an example of how you can get started with generating a prototype through AI. See it really as a sort of creative process where you are challenging yourself basically to look on a functional level every time, hey, what could be improved here, what interaction should be added or diminished. And ideally, we do that, of course, with input from the real user. I think that we can continue.
Yeah.
Stop sharing. Wait. Yeah. React. So purposeful testing. I'm going to give the microphone back to Christina. Thank you so much, at least for the past hour listening to me. And we will speak with each other next time. Thanks.
Great, wonderful. I would say let's also maybe just quickly stand up and just give everyone a big stretch. Maybe just once raise your arms above your head, stretching from left to right, maybe shaking out your hands, your arms. Just bring a bit of movement again, a bit of blood flow in the system. I really hope also, yeah, big thanks to you, Kirin, for the fantastic demo. If you guys have any more questions about that, please post them into the chat. We'll try to answer them as we go along. And otherwise, we still have some time at the end to fully get into it. So, purposeful testing. So let's take it, for example, you have your prototype right now on Lovable or Bold or Balsamiq. You know, try them out individually, compare, contrast, see what you find best to use, and then actually go out and test it. So we've done this, of course, beforehand already once, where we said, you know, do research with actual users. The good thing about doing research with actual users and AI users is that you can also get back to them once you have your prototype to actually test and validate it and get their feedback. So maybe quickly, yeah, question to you in the chat. Beyond getting feedback from users, why would we actually want to validate UX design? Anyone? Let us know in the chat. I will also move my microphone a bit lower. to prevent churn. Yeah. To make sure it meets all users' needs, meets our expectations, meet the expectations of the end users, make sure that we don't miss anything, blind spots, unsuspecting usage and functions, improving for the target audience. Fieldman, I think all your guys' answers were really good. I think Fieldman kind of put it on the point. Indeed, if you have this idea already from the get-go, right, when you started entering this competition, and you think that, this is the problem that I'm solving for this user group, and I'm going to develop this app right here. But maybe the user needs something that's not on this level, but maybe here or maybe here. So that's why we keep on iterating and validating with users to make sure that we meet that target of what they actually need. And also, of course, validating and testing early is also, again, an insurance, of you to fail fast, fail soon, and fail easy. Because otherwise, you have this full app developed and no one's going to use it. So get that user feedback early on. So yeah, the earlier we test, the lower we risk. Exactly. So just to maybe quickly recap on that, yeah, it's really not about perfection. It's about reducing uncertainty, getting feedback early, but also avoid spending time on irrelevant details. So, if you think that this is the one feature that is really like the USP of my app, but your users don't really care about it, does it really make that much sense to spend that much time, energy, and money on it? And indeed, the right type of user feedback and input. Yeah, we're not interested right now on the small details and the feed and the look and feel, but it's really and the design. But we're really looking at functionality, flow. Is it clickable? Does it meet your expectations? Is this something that seems logical and coherent to you? So yeah, what do we actually test? So yeah, we're not looking to UI design. We just say don't test pixels first, but look at the general concept, bringing back the focus to these 3 circles, right? So desirability, is this app in its form with the design, the blueprint and the flow? Is this something that users actually want, and is it solving a problem that they actually have? Feasibility is, of course, more of an internal question, like, is this something that we can build and deliver? Does this actually really, if we do this, is the problem actually solved and viable? Can it be sustainable as a business, and can it grow further? So beyond just testing the UX prototype, also, get and sense an idea from your target user and the user groups that you're talking to of, is this app still actually meeting the need or the problem? Is it solving the problem that you actually have? Because, if the user says no or not really, then you can make iterations and changes to really focusing on meeting their needs. And it's best to do that, as soon as possible, because otherwise you'll have an app that no one will really use. So a word about assumptions. Assumption is something that we believe to be true, but it's not validated yet with real evidence. So it's really, a bit like playing detective. We have ideas of, what might be true because, you guys are the app creators. You know really best about, and you're the experts of, the field that you want to develop this app in. But even as an expert, and we have this really strong feeling of how to develop this app and how it should look like and how it should feel like and the function it should have. But again, like, do we really know, or do you guys really know what your users need here and what they're looking for? Or is it all assumptions? And so we kind of divide assumptions into 2 forms, known, unknown. So, we kind of have a hint here, a good feeling about it, but we don't have the actual tangible proof yet. We don't have the evidence. And unknown unknowns, I think someone mentioned that also in the chat, those blind spots, and those are revealed through user testing. There's a really nice quote from Socrates, true wisdom is knowing nothing. Another thing that they say about assumptions is, or assume makes